start things off with a question from Doug Smith from the Toronto Star.
Good morning, Nick. How are you today?
I'm good, Doug. How are you?
Not bad. I just, I guess, right off the bat, how is the mood of the team after the emotional, raw kind of day of yesterday? How is everybody today?
I'd say okay, Doug. I wouldn't go further either direction. I think that, there's still issues on the table here that they're working through. But like I've been saying, we kind of take care of things in compartments, compartmentalize things, and we're okay. We're okay, Doug.
The players may be looking at making a monumental, historic decision if they decide not to play tomorrow. How do you sort of help them through the process of coming to whatever decision they come to?
Well, just the same, Doug. I think that we give them the platform to discuss it. They take their own initiative. They had a meeting last night. It is a player-led thing that I'm here to listen, help facilitate. If there is any leadership thoughts I can provide, I try to provide them. But mostly just listening and giving any guidance or thoughts or my own personal ideas or opinions as well. That's about it.
Thanks very much, Nick. Appreciate it.
No problem, Doug. Have a good day, man.
The next question is going to Mike Ganter from the Toronto Sun.
Hey, Nick. Good morning. How are you?
Good, Mike. How are you?
Doing fine. This might be an impossible question to answer, but you're there. Do you have an indication of how likely or unlikely this boycott is going to be? I mean, it sounds very serious, obviously, but I mean, what kind of indication are you getting down there?
I don't think I could probably put a percentage on it or anything, Mike. I think that again, it's ongoing discussions. I think it is on the table. There's some other ideas on the table as well. I don't know. I guess it's kind of the way things are in the state of the world right now. You kind of gotta, prepare the best you can for what you think's going to happen in a day, and if something changes, you better be ready to switch course, right? I mean, it's been a strange year for that, but we're kind of the way we're living right now is you gotta take what comes and then try to do what you can about it and do the best you can with it, right?
Yeah, for sure. If I could, a basketball question just about the series, assuming one is played. Boston, and you guys in Boston, you've had some battles, obviously. I mean, and we've kind of gone down this road before, asking about the rivalry. Are they the rivals? Are the Celtics the Raptors rivals? Would you say? Are they number one rivals?
I don't know how we could be, other than that we kind of seem to be neck and neck a lot in the standings. Yeah. We haven't, I think. I mean, the numbers. I think this is my 7th year in a row in the playoffs with the Raptors, and they've been in 6, I think, years in a row. We've never faced each other, which is hard to believe. I think certainly the games seem to be intense when we do meet, and there seems to be a lot of meaning in them. And I think the teams are very similar. There's lots of similarities. So, I would imagine this is going to be a hell of a series and rivalry-like.
Got it.
That's hard to say. Rivalry-like. Yeah, you're welcome, Mike. You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Next question is going to go to Michael Grange from Sportsnet.
Hey, Nick. When you look at the game you played against them at the end of the regular season there in Orlando, anything about that game that you could learn from? I mean, because the other 3 meetings all year were so distant and there's so many injuries involved. Does that one, do you study that one closely, or do you kind of throw that one out a little bit?
No, yeah, I think there's some things to study. I mean, they kicked our butts, Michael, from start to finish. It was not a game, and we weren't very we weren't very good, and they were very good. I give them credit. They were ready to. They really wanted to play us, and they wanted to take it to us, and that's exactly what they did. And there's some things to learn from that too, just tactically watching it. Yes.
And they, you're a team that's really excelled in transition, certainly creating and scoring off turnovers. They're one of the best. They manage the ball as well as any team in the league. Where do you think that those two axes are going to cross? Like, how can you force them? Can you speed them up? Can you kind of do to them what you've been able to do other teams and thus score?
Well, I think it's a couple critical points in the series, Michael. You look at going in. That's one of them. We love to score in transition, and a lot of that. I mean, it's kind of one of the things we talk about. If we're going to play all this darn defense, that we better be getting something out of it at the other end, right? And that's going to be a factor. We're going to have to dig in and get into them and try to create some turnovers. I don't know if we can, but we need them. We need them.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Michael.
Next we have Josh Lewinberg from TSN.
Hey, Nick. You guys have had success, obviously, all year, slowing down the opposition's best player, taking him out of his comfort zone a little bit. How much more difficult is the challenge defensively when you've got a team where there's not that much of a drop off from the best player to the second best player to the third best player, and you got three guys averaging 20 points?
Well, that makes it really hard, Josh, obviously, and their other two starters are pretty darn good too, right? I mean, this is just a good basketball team, but it does make it hard to try to take one of them out. I mean, if you do, that probably goes right directly to the other two, which I don't think it's gonna bother them too much, right? So it's gonna be a team challenge, real team centric defensive game plan. Everybody's going to have to play. Everybody's going to have to guard well. I mean, we'll certainly try a bunch of things. We'll try a bunch of different matchups, et cetera. But it's going to come down to whether we can kind of look them in the eye and get down and guard them, I think, Josh.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Going next to Eric Corrine from The Athletic.
Hey, Nick. Thanks for taking the time. You sort of touched on what I was going to ask about, but I wanted to specifically ask about OG and his importance in this series on both ends, maybe, but particularly on defense. Over the course of the season, how comfortable have you become on just sort of sticking him on the best option and letting him do what he does?
Well, he gets the best option a good chunk of the time, yeah. Eric. It kind of depends on size and and things. I mean, Kyle and Fred take the best guy some too, right? Yeah. But he's for me he's shown a level of super high interest in becoming a defensive stopper. You know what that means? He's working at it. He's got some desire. It's a sense of pride for him to go out there and play hard at the defensive end and guard the best players in this league. So that's good. So I would imagine he's a big factor in the series at both ends. I think he's going to get his opportunities at the offensive end too.
And if I can ask one question about the discussions that are going on, I mean, I think a lot of people are going to paint it as a binary thing, boycott versus no boycott. It's obviously more complicated than that. Can you, based on being on those discussions, can you speak to the thoughtfulness that is sort of going into it from everybody involved?
Yeah, well, I think that, Eric, I think that it gets to this point for a couple reasons, right? One is the players are deeply disappointed that the same thing happens again in a relatively short time frame, right? They want to be part of the solution. They want to help. They want justice. They want, this particular problem to be handled in a much better way. Okay, that's the first thing. Boycotting, the game has come up for them, and as a way to, again, try to demand a little more action. And I think that's really what they want. I think there's enough. I think there's enough attention, Eric, and there's not quite enough action. And I think that's what I can sense from the discussion is their disappointments of, man, how can we get something to change, right? Like now we need something to change, not just attention on the problem. We need a plan of action. So I think that's about what I could share with you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
I'm going to go next to Tim Bontemps from ESPN.
Hey, Nick, kind of along those lines, you've talked about being, kind of a voice or an ear for these guys to kind of have, to bend and listen to them, to talk to them about this stuff. How are you kind of trying to help shepherd along these conversations and help these guys come to a decision on what they want to do and how they want to try to enact the action that they want to try to make happen here?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Tim, I'm not trying to push them any way or another. I think I'm just trying to, again, be a ear and listen. What I would say is I continue to give them a platform to share with each other. It would, before we start every session that we're together, whether it's a film session or a practice or whatever, I'm opening the floor. When we close a film session or close a practice, I'm opening the floor again if there's any discussion that needs to take place. And then there's several one-on-one conversations going on with these guys, pre-practice, post-practice, pre-meeting, post-meeting, or whatever as well. And I guess that's all I can say is I'm trying to give them a forum to talk as much as and as often as I can. I'm trying to respect their priorities, right? And
Yep.
And also just give them some of my own personal thoughts. I mean, like I've had a couple really deep, heartfelt discussions with a few of these guys here this morning. About playing, not playing, being in the bubble, leaving the bubble, coming to the bubble, or all these things. And I just give them my own personal opinions on it.
You mentioned that the group is kind of okay today. Obviously, yesterday was an emotional day. Last night, it seemed like it was pretty emotional. It sounds like it's a similar thing this morning. Do you think that these conversations are at least helping everybody kind of go through the process of figuring out how to, react in the way that they want to? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think so, Tim. I think that is, I think it's always good for people to get things off their chest, so to speak, right? And at least feel like there's a avenue to let some things out, right? And I think we've tried to again offer that in many streams, team setting, group setting, individual settings with our we've got health professionals in our organization that are available to lots of avenues, because not everybody kind of finds their voice in every setting, right? So try to give them as many options as possible, and that's really what we're trying to do, Tim. Like you mentioned, we're trying to make sure they're okay. We're trying to help them, not only as basketball player but as people to be okay and feel good and hopefully contribute to being part of the solution, right?
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Next, we go to Scott Stinson from the National Post.
Hey, Nick. You mentioned earlier the compartmentalization of some of these things, dealing with the basketball on one side and then these other discussions going on. I'm just wondering how that has worked in terms of the actual practices. I mean, are you finding that guys are able to still, you're talking about schemes and assignments and who's going to do what? Is that stuff sort of still going on as per usual, or has it changed the kind of mood of those kind of things to be having these other discussions on the side?
Well, you kind of probably hit both sides of that with that question, Scott. Good question. I mean, we trying to go on with it. That's what that's where we're putting it in kind of silos. We're talking about, let's do this. Let's get through these plays. Let's get through the walkthrough or whatever it is. Are they going as well as, I guess I don't know. That's the hard part about coaching. You probably won't know until the ball goes up tomorrow if we're blowing coverages or if we're not, right? And if it is an effect. I mean, I would say honestly that, yeah, a couple guys seemed a little bit out of it going through some stuff today. But I'm not sure I'm attributing that to anything. Sometimes they're out of it for other reasons. There's other personal things going on in their life at different times of the year or their career or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I do.
it's a good question, but it's hard for me to really say I can feel what the right answer is to your question.
Okay, thanks a lot, Nick.
Yeah, no, thanks. Appreciate it.
Next question goes to Jeff Zilkett from USA Today.
Hey, Nick, I know basketball questions seem a little insignificant, so if you'll just indulge on Kemba Walker and his influence on the Celtics team and, not only during the season, but, here in the bubble, the first round against the Sixers.
Well, Kemba's great, right? He's great. He's such a he's got such great energy, right? In a lot of ways. Not only is he fast up the floor and can score and can do something, he just kind of exudes this love of the game. I think he exudes that he's a great teammate. I think plays with a smile on his face a lot. I was lucky enough to coach him at the All-Star game this year, and he's a utter joy to be around. So, there's a lot to love about him, right? And he brings a lot to their team. He's an all-star. He's a hell of a player, and he's fast and quick and has energy and loves the game, and he's fun to watch. It's hard to coach against, but he's fun to watch.
Thank you, Nick.
Yep.
Next, we're going to go to Joe Varden from The Athletic.
Hi, Nick. Thanks for taking so much time to do this. I have two questions. One, why do you think it is that it's pretty much the Raptors and the Celtics talking about a boycott? There's been powerful statements, obviously, throughout the league, but as far as boycott, I've only heard it from your two teams. And then, is this a singular game that we're talking about, or are the Raptors and Celtics considering just going home?
Two really good questions, Joe. I think that from our standpoint, I guess I wouldn't know about the Celtics part, right? But from our standpoint, I think that we got some pretty conscientious guys, right? I think we obviously have the footage and the situation with Masai just coming out, and our team just saw that recently as well, right? A little bit like right before you guys saw it. So there is some personalness to this, I think, with part of our group, and certainly a big part of our organization, Masai. That's kind of all I can say for the first part of your question. And the second part, I guess I really don't know. I really don't know. No, it's not true. I have heard a couple of our guys say they're thinking about going home, right? But I don't know if that's a team-wide thing. I think I'll stay with my original statement when they said, do you think it's a good idea if you go to the bubble? I say yes. I think there's much more we can do here playing and using the platform. And personally, I would share that with the players. They certainly can. I'm only asking them for about 2 hours a day, 2 or 3 hours a day, to really focus in on being a Raptor, and the rest of it, if they want to go out there and be part of the social justice reform, they got a lot of time to do that. And I think they can do both very well. So that would be my answer.
I'm going to do two more questions. First one's going to Vincent Goodwill from Yahoo Sports.
Hey, Nick, thanks for taking the question. In some cases, you're twice the age of some of your players. I'm curious how your own personal experience, I didn't mean to throw you off there, but your own personal experience with your guys, is there any perspective you give them because you have the benefit of being around the world a little bit longer and you can sort of frame some of these in the moment discussions greater?
Man, first of all, thanks for the age reminder.
Sorry about that.
I don't feel twice as old as them very often, but I do right now. No, I'm just kidding. And I mean, I hope so, Vincent. I mean, I think that listen, I have been around the world and around the block, and fortunately, right, like it's opened up my eyes to a lot of things, to live in different countries and live in different cultures and coach players from all over the world, literally, you know. It's been a good experience for me. I wouldn't be the first. I certainly would never, you know, think that I have any more answers than anybody else. I can just share my own personal thoughts with them and experiences as maybe their coach. I don't know, as maybe a leader of our organization, or as maybe kind of their friend, you know. Just communicate with them as openly and honestly as I can, really.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Yep.
And final question, we got to go back to Michael Grange from Sportsnet.
Hey, Nick, just a quick one. You know, Mark Spears has reported that the Raptors and Celtics met last night and discussed a number of options. I'm just wondering, were that a player-only thing? Were coaches and other parts of the organization in on that meeting?
It was player only, Michael.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep. You're
Have a
welcome.
great day, Nick.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, too. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you.
Thank you.